it was a good reminder to me too, to share with y'all, like whenever you're like, oh my gosh, like I can't tell my clients I need to reschedule. It's like, yes, you can, and they will be supportive. And this is why we love relationship-based businesses and building them that way, because when your clients know you, they are outrageously supportive of you. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Life at 10 Tenths, where we inspire you to live at the pinnacle of your ability and purpose. As always, I'm joined by Garrett Fry. I'm Matt Pinelli, and welcome to the show. If it's your first time tuning in, we're so happy you're here. Just head over to 10tenths.co to learn more about what we got going on. And we'll talk more about that later. But we have a great topic today because we're probably somewhere in the middle of February by the time you're listening to this. The time you're recording this is the end of January. You've had a good month plus to figure out, hey, how is my business plan working? How is my calendar working? And what happens when things go sideways, when chaos comes into play? And Garrett, you and I have had a bit of experience to kick off this year of like very, very unexpected things that have kind of thrown chaos into our world. And so we have some firsthand experience of this so far.
This came kind of an interesting topic because, yes, we are experiencing a lot right now, both you and I in our own worlds and are in very kind of oddly similar ways. Like Matt and I are walking like this parallel weird space right now where we're able to go like, all right, how was your day? And
Yeah.
we can kind of go back and forth with similar doctor appointments visits, not for us, but for family members. And it's an interesting thing that we're getting ready for podcasting today. And I said, Matt, I think we need to talk about chaos. I think we need to talk about outside chaos, things that are completely out of our control. But it's also those things in chaos that you can't just go like, oh, you just need to delegate better. Like your schedule's just too tight and things like that. When we do business planning, we actually have people build in time for chaos. We talk about, your schedule should be able to handle 20% chaos. And I think, sitting here in February right now for all of you, you should have had, a good 30 plus days of being able to look at your calendar, watch it run for the weeks and the full month now and go, okay, 20% chaos shows up easily. That's an easy thing. That's not like ooh, weird, I had 20% chaos like this week. No, that's normal stuff. We should always be prepared that weird stuff is going to happen. What we also need to understand is that sometimes we get more. And, this has been one of those, well, I'll say the last 3 weeks for me, that between traveling and teaching, that was a chaos element that, threw in all that type of stuff. I got sick. My father-in-law ended up in the emergency room multiple times, still there right now as we're sitting here recording this. He's actually admitted to the hospital now. But like every free moment that I have when I don't have a scheduled coaching call with somebody, and I had to cancel a whole bunch of those this week, running back and forth to the hospital here in Reading to basically check and make sure how things are going. What can I be doing to help my wife out, my mother-in-law out, like what, all these things. I can't just go, oh, I'm going to have my assistant drop by and they're going to take care of doing this. No, I need to be there. I need to be there in these moments. And I think what's really interesting, Matt, and I'll kick this back over to you here, is that you made a comment to me of like, thank God we have a plan. Like we have a really detailed schedule of what we're supposed to be doing on a weekly basis. And both you and I were like, we are dropping the ball right now on what this plan was, how we wanted to attack 2026. But at the same point, you said, the minute this kind of calms, and it will calm, there will be a calm to the storm, we know exactly what we need to do. It's not going to be like, well, where do we start and how do we get going again? You and I are going to be like, oh, this is what we need to do. I got my time back on my schedule. I can hammer on that. We're right back in the groove. And both of you and I know it. And that's a really comforting place to know, even though we're accepting that, man, things are out of control at the moment.
Yeah. And you may be experiencing this yourself or have experienced this. And Garrett, when we do business plan, planning, we talk about when you set your goals up, we walk everybody through breaking their goals down into the actions, developing the routines and all that stuff. But then we say, hey, look ahead for roadblocks, right? What are the things that could go wrong and how do you plan for them? And then we added this year, this 20% chaos exercise of like, well, not just if a roadblock appears, but something that's unpredictable. And sometimes you can't even predict the unpredictable, which is kind of what's happened in my world over the past month with my dad ending up in the ER twice. And the last time, and as of this recording, he is still in the hospital in critical care unit. And it's just like, oh, wow. And they live close to here. So it's not like, hey, update me from somewhere and, keep me posted, or which that might be even more difficult, because then it's like, how do you get on a plane and all that kind of stuff. But what you said about the business plan, having that come back to it, it's not even just when it settles. It's, well, when I have a moment and I want to shift my brain into something else and I have the time and the business relies on us, I just know I'd go do that. The plan's there. It's not like, well, what should I do that's going to have some value today? It's like, oh, I already know what has value. And with even our kind of metrics that we have, there's even a menu of things. It's like, well, I don't feel like talking on the phone, so maybe I'm going to send out some texts or do this thing that we have to do here. And it's been actually very interesting, because I also feel like, while there's been some chaos, a lot of chaos for us, because let's also preface this with, all three business owners have chaos in their life right now, right? So it's not just, oh, there's a roadblock, one business owner. We got it covered over here, which thank God for my Prosecco and Post partners, because they're handling a lot more stuff right now, which is a blessing. But here at Life at 10 Tenths, all three of us are going through some wild stuff, but we're still growing at the same time, which is amazing, because we haven't missed a podcast. We're not missing events. We had 2 speaking events this month so far collectively. We have one coming up in February. And because we have our minimum standards, we have a plan, we're able to go to it. At the same time, we're able to give ourselves grace when crazy stuff shows up, Garrett. And it's tough. I will say this, and we can talk about this a little bit too. The emotional side of, well, how's my business going to run, particularly as an entrepreneur or an independent contractor or a salesperson, where your business does rely on you to be there. Because you're right, Garrett, it's not always as simple as, let me just delegate this out. If roadblocks are consistently coming up, maybe we can look at a pattern here and be like, oh, let's delegate this out. But when it's like, I'm hopefully not going to be making regular trips to the emergency room and have to be like, well, I have to plan in my schedule to do this, because the 20% chaos isn't necessarily like, oh, let me just make sure I have 20% of my schedule open for the what ifs. No, this is when things come up, are we going to just not do something, which is what has happened in our world, and that's okay? Or do we have an opportunity to maybe hand it off to somebody or pick it up, delay it to another time frame? And it's very interesting to see this play out, Garrett. But if you're not thinking about the strategy behind that ahead of time, then it gets really emotional and kind of, it puts on some pressure in the moment.
Well, one thing that I love that we did when we did business planning, that we didn't actually teach this to our participants. We never really went down this route with them. So sorry, we don't give you guys the best. We save the best for us. We give you guys you get the beat. No, I'm sorry.
You get all of it, guys. And then as we learn more about how it works,
the reason I'm sharing this is that we found when we were going through it as a team together, and we were looking at, okay, what are all the things we could be doing to hit the goals that we want to hit, to build the business that we want to build, to get to where we want to go. All three of us sat down and we're like, all right, let's take all these could do's, and we're like, let's make a hierarchy here. And how do we want to make a hierarchy of all these? And we literally looked at like the difficulty of implementing to the impact that it's going to make. And it was really an interesting thing to go through with all three of us and to map them all out. The list was long too. We had a really long list of all the things that we could be doing.
Which, by the way, stay tuned for next year's business plan, because we now have an idea of how do we build this into a tool for everybody. So
yeah, you will be. We experiment on us, and then we're like, all right,
we should make sure it works first before we should
give this to other people. So it was really interesting going through it, Matt. And it's one of the things, like, you look at, like, we have not missed a podcast, and we are very conscious about making sure that there's time even if it's not the scheduled time that we thought we were going to do it at, we need to make time to make sure we can get a podcast in. Because one of the things we realized is that the difficulty of actually implementing, we know how to do this. We can show up and we can podcast. We can come up with topics. We have lists of topics we're always building with. And then the other side of it, of the impact that we can make with a podcast. Podcast goes live. We know exactly how many people that's going to impact on a weekly basis. I can see the metrics, all that type of stuff. When it comes to, actively sitting down and making phone calls, one-on-one phone calls to people, is it something that's easy to do? Very easy to sit down and make phone calls. But when your schedule is hectic and you're all over the place and you don't maybe feel like your energy is in a great spot sometimes, like Matt and I can pump each other up for a podcast. We're like, all right, like, let's go. Like, we're going to do this. Let's bring the best to our people. And for some reason, sometimes making those phone calls, I was really sick for about the last 3 days. I'm mending. I'm pretty much over it. But there was a while there where, like, I tried to call somebody and I had to explain to them why my voice was cracking and breaking up and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is not the energy that I want to be giving to these people that I'm calling and talking to. I also had a lot of baggage energy from the hospital and some of the situations that were going on there and some of the stressors of my family. I was like, that's not energy that I'm able to clear in those moments, because I was running from coaching calls to maybe the hospital to back here to making sure my son's taken care of. And he's 18, but you still got to take care of him. But it's just those, like, bouncing around with all this stuff. I feel like you got to know the things that you're like, these are the non-negotiables. And these are the things that we're going to be able to let slide for a little bit, and we can recover. We're going to be okay. I can recover on phone calls. I can bring those relationships back up. Hard to recover from missed podcasts. Podcasts don't go live. There's studies on it, how fast you guys tune in and you're like, oh, it's not there. Well, because it's not there, I'm going to go listen to something else. And then all of a sudden you're listening to something else. And it's like, oh yeah, are they back yet? Like, it's one of the worst things you can do. And so we know that. And so it's like, okay, what are the things we can let slide? What are the non-negotiables? And I think if you don't have a plan, and also if you have taken the time to go to the level that we kind of went to with it, it allows you to have clarity to be able to walk away. It allows you to say, okay, with all this chaos coming in, what are the things that we need to make sure happen? And then the rest of it is you can walk away and be like, I get to be fully present for these people that need me right now. You need to be able to do that.
And that last part, I think, is something that helps you get through chaos. When you're focusing on, okay, how can I continue to serve, while at the same time making sure you're taking care of yourself. What we see a lot of times, because listing appointments, showings and stuff, typically you're not going to push those things. However, if true, like, high level chaos comes in, you might have to start skipping those things, which starts to put stress, because it's now that client could maybe say, hey, I want a different realtor. This is why it's important to have good relationships in your office or just in your area with other brokers to help, say, hey, if something comes up, there's somebody that I can lean on, even if it's just a referral fee at that point for me, it's still some money that can come in and these people can still be served. And if you have that focus, I think it is a lot easier to manage through the chaos and then come back with strength. Now, one thing I will say that's helped me through this month is, like, staying as consistent as possible with morning routines and personal health stuff, right? Because whenever you go through chaos, it's usually not just like, oh, I have too many appointments that I don't have enough time in the day. Like, the chaos is truly the stuff that's also going to impact you significantly emotionally. And if you have a grounding in taking care of your health, right? If you're like, hey, this is going to be tough. Let me make sure that I'm eating right, fueling my body. I am getting sleep as best that I can. I will say I've had a few nights of like, there's Garrett's big water right there. I've had a few nights of 3 and 4 hours of sleep where I've still been able to function pretty well because I'm like, hey, I know I'm not going to get the sleep. So here's how I'm going to manage that. And everybody has their own way of figuring that out. We've learned a lot through our health program that we're going through, Garrett, which has helped me tremendously manage these few low hours of sleep, which is so awesome. If you guys want to come join us on that, just let us know. But that comes first. This is why when we do business planning, we talk about having your life goals first, because if the priority is the business, when chaos happens, you're going to burn yourself out just through the mental anxiety and anguish that you're going to put yourself through. But if life comes first, you're going to be more confident. You're going to have faith that your business is going to still be there to support your life. And that if you take care of life, the business will take care of itself versus the other way around. And Garrett, I think that's what can destroy a lot of annual plans for people is if they have to pull attention away from their business and they've mentally put business up here, then it's just tough mentally for them to come back to it. And that's
well, and I think, having this clarity with it, I think a lot of people have goals. And what can easily happen is that if you don't have a good plan, good activities, things you need to say yes to all the time, and the things that maybe can be a maybe sometimes when chaos may hit, but at least you have a plan to be able to fall back to, is that it's very easy, and you can watch people very fast going like, oh my gosh, this year's not getting started the way that I wanted it. Matt, both you and I, we could have never planned for 2026 starting the way that 2026 is starting right now.
Not even close.
Yeah, no, there's no way. Even though isn't it weird? Matt and I are like, the amount of times we've called and we're like, where are you? And he's like, I'm in the ER. And I'm like, we are too. It's like, when did you guys get admitted? Like, just like, we're here, we just got here. And I'm like, us too. Like, it's been a little weird. But I think the interesting thing of like having these pieces you can come back to ground yourself with, to be able to take care of yourself. If your business is just goals, if you're just like, oh, I did a business plan, here are my goals, I've got activities that I'm going to do, and all right, let's go do this. You very easily can have a month that just completely goes sideways early on, like we did. And all of a sudden you look at your goals and you go, oh, maybe those aren't realistic now going into this new year. Maybe, I got to do more in these upcoming months to be able to make it happen. And I want to encourage everybody that can easily happen. You can start looking at your goals and going like, well, maybe we need to readjust right now because of, everything's going, who knows how long this chaos is going to last for. It may be done right now and maybe for another month. Who knows? Maybe we're going to have 2 months that kind of take our feet out from underneath us. But the interesting thing is that it's not about whether the goals are still viable or not. It's how fast can you get back to the systems or maintain the systems that are going to continue to move this forward. We know for a fact podcasts are one for us. You might be looking at your business and going, okay, my non-negotiable right now, it's the one we're not going to stop. I'm going to have my postcards continue to go out. Those are going to continue to happen. That is my number one, farthest I can possibly fall back. Postcards are still going to happen. What's my next thing that I'm going to do as time allows? Maybe it might be phone calls. Maybe it's phone calls to your warm list and people that are having life changes so we can really maximize those phone calls. Maybe it's, the third step is reaching into our database and making sure we're communicating with those people. Looking at what is the most viable option for keeping this business moving forward and making it happen. You have to be able to understand the hierarchy, especially when extreme chaos kicks up. And Matt, I would not have said that before, except for what we're kind of working through right now. And having that hierarchy, having that understanding of what takes the most amount of effort to make it happen, what's going to make the biggest impact. And some of those things are really big impact, but it's like, going and traveling and being on stage right now. Like, I'm so happy we don't have those plans right now. Like, it's great that it happened last week.
Well, in a couple of weeks from the release of this podcast, but
yeah, it was great that it happened back then, but I'm really grateful that we're not in the middle of that right now, because again, hard to implement, major impact. I'm grateful that like my fallback right now that I'm looking forward to getting back to as fast as I possibly can is I've got time on Friday. Hopefully Friday is going to allow me some freedom to be able to do. I can't wait to call people. Like I am looking forward to sitting in my office, tilting back in, I get at my chair. I can recline back in there, and I just want to call. I'm just going to work through people that I feel like I need to reach out to and reconnect with, and you got to have those places to be able to go to be like, okay, I can recover from this. I can recover from the chaos that we experienced. The goals are still viable.
Yeah. Well, and I'll give you guys this too. If you haven't built a plan, right? Take what Garrett just said, and then put it into a minimum standard. And we've talked about this before, but if you have a minimum standard of like, that's maybe even, I wouldn't say you don't want to change your standards that you set on your plan if you already have that set, because those can help you. But I know many of you may have not done this, because we know how many people have gone through our business plan process. And we also know how many people submitted a completed business plan, which, by the way, if you're still in the business planning workshop, which the registration is now closed at this point, but if you're in it and you haven't completed the plan, still complete it, because you can join us for our masterminds this year. Keep that in mind for those of you for next year too. But if you have a standard of like, hey, these are the calls I need to make, and these are the people I can make, and you can get that into your phone, right? Because I know all of you, the one thing that you will always have with you is your phone. And if you can have this stuff right there, so you can easily look at it and remind like, oh, right, this is my minimum standard that I can engage it at any time. And then you can just dial in, right? If you have your contacts organized on your phone, which most of you do, and if you don't, that's something you may want to work on as a project. It's like, oh, I need to dial in some calls. If Garrett, you couldn't be in your office for some reason, you'd find a comfortable chair somewhere else and you'd be like, I got a few hours. I'm going to make some phone calls, right? And then it's like, okay, what do I need to take notes? Well, I'll use my note taking app, right? Or whatever it is. But if you have this minimum standard for yourself, it's going to help you just go right to that first, because if you're trying to come back to building the skyscraper that you're building, that is your business and your empire and your legacy, what will you need to get back to first is making sure the foundation is strong, and that's your minimum standard. You don't go for the moonshot right away. You go back to that. And now the other side of this too, which I think is wonderful, and everybody can work on this too, is having some operational structure that can support you when you do have the big things, right? Like I'm not worried about traveling in a couple of weeks at the time of the release of this, because I know that there's going to be a structure around that helps make sure that things get done, right? I also know and have confidence that if I need to be flexible, we can make flexible happen. Which leads me to one last point I want to share, Garrett, which is having a network of wonderful people in your world. And for me, just leaning into my faith during this time, and just a lot of prayer and having a lot of people pray. For me, for my mom, for my dad over this last month has been outrageously beneficial, because it's given me the confidence to know that no matter what, everything's going to be okay, because there is a higher power that's in control, and there is a plan, and there will always be lessons learned no matter what happens. And I can take that with me as I march forward on the journey that is my life. And if you're comfortable in that, and you can settle in that and have people around you who are supporting you and cheering you on, praying for you, whatever it is, it helps the emotional and mental side of things to then say, okay, I can now sit down. I can make this call. It's okay for me to do this, or it's okay for me to just sit here and just process a little bit. And that's okay too. So highly recommend that as well. If you have that, if you don't have the community around you, seek it out, because it's amazing what can happen when you have people around you like that.
You know, it's interesting, as we've been going through this, there are a handful of you that we've kind of shared where we're at and what we're dealing with. And, just the closer people in our community and our networks that have, we've been able to have phone calls with. And it's really amazing, the reach out, the support, the people that have, Dennis Tuttle is an extreme example of, the hearing from you, the impact that he made when he was talking with you. and taking the time to pray with you on the coaching call, just to be like, hey man, I'm wishing the best for your family and your dad and all that.
He's paying me to help him with his business, and he's like, we need to stop and take this time to pray.
And it was amazing because I texted Dennis later that night and I just said, hey, I just want to say thank you for you giving your incredible energy to Matt. Like, Matt needs that right now, and we appreciate you in our world. And then that turned into him coming back to being like, oh my gosh, I'm appreciative. And then that then turned into me sharing, because he was like, I'm going to call Matt tomorrow. And I said, well, just if you get a chance tonight, send another prayer Matt's direction. Matt could use it. I just got off the phone with Matt. Matt could use it right now. And he's like, we're just sitting down to dinner. We're going to do it as a family as we're sitting down to dinner. And to watch that energy, and Matt, you and I, and we've said this to many people, you and I are very different people. It's not that I have a different faith than you. I don't have religion in my world the same way that a lot of our listeners do, a lot of our people do. And I'm okay with that. I hope you're okay with it, because I love watching the energy that it brings. And I am a collective energy person. I believe we are sharing energy. We are helping. Health and healing energy can be shared all over the place. And no matter what you believe, I look at it as what Dennis is doing and sharing that energy and pulling all that energy from the people that are sitting around that table and throwing it from Texas all the way to Charleston. Like that, for me, it's like, that's what this world's all about. These are the people. And I told Dennis through text, I said, what I love is watching, getting through this world, this life, and all the amazing people that we bring in around us, all the incredible connections that we bring in. And a lot of where miracles happen is just incredible collective energy. And again, I know there's lots of ways we can talk about belief around this and all that stuff, which I don't want to go there.
I could talk about it in detail. I'd probably cry if we were going to talk about it now. And I will say this too, Garrett, like, you know, Dennis, I mean, so many examples this week, Greg, Joe, Rivka, for me, all being, Lauren as well. Just
Jennifer Mons. Thank you, Jennifer.
Everybody, I mean, gosh, there's even more that are not coming to my mind, but like when I had to reschedule, it was just like, absolute, like, yes, no, like, and I think it was a good reminder to me too, to share with y'all, like, whenever you're like, oh my gosh, like, I can't tell my clients I need to reschedule. It's like, yes, you can, and they will be supportive. And this is why we love relationship-based businesses and building them that way, because when your clients know you, they are outrageously supportive of you. You know, they're like, yeah, we get it. It's going to be okay. And that's the lovely thing when you build great relationships in your business, because then you don't have to worry, right?
Your network will support you. They will be there for you. This is a journey you are all on together. As I've told people, you build really good databases, really good relationships. Whatever your profession is, like whatever your job is, that's the byproduct of the incredible relationships. You know, we get to coach these people and we get to work with all of you because of our incredible connections that we've made with you. And yes, the byproduct is, we get the ability of coaching with you, and we get the freedom that when these things happen, that you guys are like, don't worry about it. We're cool. Like, let's get a new time on the calendar. And that's a wonderful place to be. But I think, Matt, when you said that, I want to say thank you to everybody out there. Matt and I are going to be great. Yeah. But we wanted to share this podcast with you specifically to say that, you know, one is this is why you have a plan. This is why you have all of the pieces that are going to make those goals happen. You know what your actions are. You know what your standards are. But you also need to understand is that sometimes chaos will show up. Yeah. And if you've built this thing right, you should be able to go handle the chaos, get it taken care of, bring everything back to normal. And as things start to correct, as they start to come back to normal, you know exactly what you need to do that's going to make the biggest impact to keep you on course for the life that you're building and where you want to go. Matt, want to say thank you to you. We've been big supporters, talking a lot on the phone late at night, back and forth. as we're all going through our stuff. But I want to say thank you to everybody out there, all of you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for the flexibility. Thank you for the love and the kindness and the energy being sent our direction and the prayers. And we appreciate all of you. And we're going to wrap it on that. So thank you, everybody.
That's perfect. Thanks, Garrett. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you on the next one.